Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going through my round 10 AFL tips, so let's get right into it. So I'll be doing this on Squiggle, and as you can see, the ladder's on the right hand side, but I don't really take the ladder too much into account at all. In fact, I very much disregard it. I think that the teams, honestly, that are currently at the bottom of the ladder are doing the best. I genuinely think that the ladder, if it was flipped around, should be the perfect representation of where the teams are at. Like teams like Melbourne and Brisbane and Carlton, I don't know, I just feel like they've been disappointing, and teams like West Coast and North Melbourne deserve the love. So the first game, we've got Carlton and Sydney. Carlton just weren't very good last week against the Giants. Land Cameron's last game, the Giants really put up the effort for them, and the Blues were quite disappointing. It was weird because Harry Mackay was their best player. He kicked 7 goals, but the Blues just weren't able to get much going. The Swans, well, it was tough when you're playing against a side like the Bombers, who just always show the pressure, always have the ferocity and intensity with all the tackles that they laid. I think they laid over 100 tackles on the weekend against the Swans. It was always going to be a tough ask, but yeah, a tough one. Like the Docklands, I think it plays into the Swans' hands. They genuinely are a pretty good side when they do play at home, and I think the Docklands it's a Sydney. Yeah, it's the Sydney ground, so I'll go Sydney by 24. I think they get it done because it's at home. Geelong v Port Adelaide. Geelong, they're just a side that, you know, can never play against the poor sides. When they have a good, fierce competition against the good sides, they always stand up to the occasion. I mean, it goes to show, in the past, they've always seemed to get it done against the good sides, and then when they play finals, that's where they click. But the home and away season's just not where it's at for the Cats. And here at GMHBA, or Cardinia Park, I think it's going to be tough. Port Adelaide, while they've been a pretty good side this season. They've started very good. They've been a bit average as of late, but I think they're still a side that can make the top 4 like they have been in the past. And, you know, a side like Geelong. But it is tough, though, because Geelong are playing against a very good side in the power. It's a flip of the coin. I'm going to just kick something, a random side, and I've gone we'll go Geelong by 25. But it could go any way. I think Port Adelaide are that really good side. The Western Bulldogs take on the Gold Coast Suns. Gold Coast, when was the last time they missed out on finals? They've got good players, the Suns. They've arguably got the best list in the competition. And it goes to show the last 2 weeks have been really good against Fremantle and against I don't know who they played the week before. I think they would have had a good win. Gold Coast, you know, they've got experience all round. They've got a really good fan base as well. They've got, is it the second or third most members in the AFL? It goes to show. I think it'll be a packed out Mars Stadium. But I think it's set to be a high-scoring affair. Both sides can kick a lot. The Dogs, they've been okay. They haven't been amazing last game. They really didn't deserve to win against the Pies last week. I think it was bullshit, really, with the umpiring. But they got the job done. But I think Gold Coast, they're a good side, and they're going to completely dominate with the crowd. I think the crowd advantage is going to get the Suns over the line by 17 points. This one, look, I don't care what the ladder says. North Melbourne have been incredible this season. They haven't been able to get the wins going because of the match fixing in this competition that have just been... It's been completely disrespectful for the Kangaroos. They deserve to be in the top 4. Melbourne, they've just been too boring. They've been a poor side to watch. They might be getting wins, but they haven't been playing at their best, and I just don't see the Demons giving the Roos much of a chance in this one. I know the ladder position says otherwise, and everyone's saying, "Oh, Melbourne are going to win this game." I disagree. The odds, if I were you, I'd put $100 on North Melbourne to win, because they are going to win this game, and I think they're going to win it pretty easily. 39 points. Melbourne, they're just not up to the contest this year, and I really do think this is going to be the start of their downfall, because North Melbourne, watch out, they are coming. Richmond v Essendon. Well, Richmond, you know, they're a very low-scoring side. They're particularly the last few weeks. They just haven't really been able to get the goals. They need players like Tom Lynch, Shai Bolton to lift. And what has Dustin Martin done since he's come back? I mean, Jesus, they might as well not have him in the side. I think Richmond have been very disappointing as of late. Essendon, on the other hand, they've been arguably the surprise packet of 2022. You know, their ferocity, intensity, and pressure around the contest has been first class, second to none. You know, they've got players like Dylan Shield, who... he's got to be the recruit of the last 10 years. He's just been outstanding. Devon Smith, another player they got from the Giants. He's just done it all for them. You know, Tip and Woody kicked 7 last week in a loss. You know, they had 112 tackles against Sydney 62, and they still ended up losing. I think Essendon, if they can bring this out, particularly at Dreamtime at the G, they're going to absolutely dominate the contest. I say a 48-point win to Bombers. Now, next up, we've got Adelaide and St Kilda. This is a tough one. It really is. St Kilda, they had a good win against Geelong, to be fair. They had a terrible third quarter. That third quarter, Geelong probably deserved to win after that third quarter, but they stuck all right, the Saints. They got a good win. Jack Higgins' 6 goals really set the tone early on, and that's really what got them the win. Adelaide, they beat Brisbane, I think. Oh, no, yeah, they lost after the sign against the Lions, that's right, but they were really good all game, and I think Adelaide, at the Adelaide Oval, they're a better side than the Saints. I do rate the Crows. They're going to do a lot of things this season. St Kilda are average. I mean, they just got to fix up on their second halves. They can't finish. They can't run out games. They're not very quick. Like, they don't play Marvel well, and they don't play... I don't think they're going to play Adelaide Oval well. I think Adelaide win by 22. Next game, we've got GWS v West Coast Eagles. GWS, I've got to clap. Hats off to the Giants. Sending out Liam Cameron the way they did, they love their coach. And I feel bad because I really do think that Liam Cameron, if he was still at the club and not sacked, I do think the Giants could be a contender for the flag this year. Not to be, Mark McVeigh's their interim coach, and we just never ever see it. When was the last time we've seen an interim coach actually, give team success in their first 6 or so weeks of playing? We didn't see it with Reece Shaw. We definitely didn't see it with David Teague. We didn't see it with Brett Ratton. Interim coaches, every time an interim coach gets a chance, they don't seem to do well at all. West Coast, on the other hand, they've been extremely competitive. They've just been extremely unlucky. And one of the highest scoring sides this year, the Eagles. They've got Darling and Kennedy, who are just at their prime. I do think the Eagles get the job done by 16 points. Hawthorn v the Lions. Hawthorn, they're just a side that need to start games a bit better. They always seem to have a real red-hot crack at it late in games, but it's just not enough. They've got to start games well, because if they played only their second half, Hawthorn arguably the best side in the comp. Whilst the Lions, they've just got to improve on their scoring. They have got no scoring power. They've got Joe Danaher and Hipwood. I don't know if he's playing still. Danaher, he kicked 6 last week. He was their only target up forward. But other than that, they didn't deserve to win against the Crows. Very lucky that, who was it? Dan McStay kicked the goal after the siren. I do think that the Lions, it's just going to be too hard to withstand the Hawks, particularly at Utah Stadium. They play all right there, the Hawks. So I think the Hawks get the job done by 24. And then Fremantle and Collingwood. Fremantle only had the 7 inside 50s, and that you're not going to win games when you're only scoring 7 inside 50s. No wonder they scored, I think it was 33 against Gold Coast, like 104. The biggest inside 50 differential of all time, I think it was 97. Disappointing, the Dockers, and that's a reality check because they're up high on the ladder, but I don't see them, performing if they're going to be only scoring 7 inside 50s. Collingwood just weren't able to get the win, but I thought they were really ferocious, the footy, and it all started with the first quarter. I think they had scored 5 goals to 1 or 6 goals to 1. They dominated in the contested footy, but the Dogs were just able to win the footy, the uncontested ball, and that was enough to win them the game. So I think Collingwood, if they can take their strengths from last week, they can really give a red-hot crack. I really like the name of Ollie Henry. 5 goals straight. His accuracy was sublime, Ollie Henry. And I think if he can come out against the Optus Stadium crowd and really show the Dockers what they're worth, the Pies, I think they can get the job done. Free have been good this year, but what we saw last week with their inside 50s was a worry, and they're leaking goals. They're really leaking goals. Longme, I don't know how the Dockers are going defensively, but they've got to, fix up something up defense. Otherwise, I feel like the Pies could outscore them quite comfortably. I could see a 140 to 130 game in this one. We don't see a lot of high-scoring games of footy, but this one could be the highest-scoring game of the decade with the way I see it. But I think Freo, you know what? I'll back him in 4 points. So those were my tips for round 10. Hopefully you guys do agree with my tips and my reasoning behind them. Here we go, the ladder after round 10. Melbourne, I don't know if they'll make the top 4. They might make the top 8. I think they'll make the top 8. Not sure about the top 4. Look out for North and West Coast. Bad start to the season, but I see them climbing. Could be contention for the top 8. Alright, obviously that was a piss take. Obviously that was a bloody piss take. For anyone, I'm the only, and obviously for anyone who knows, this was my tipping punishment, and it was actually supposed to be a fake tipping video with a mate and making awful calls without them knowing, but I didn't really have anyone to do it with, and I feel like it'd just be too obvious, particularly considering that most of my mates already know about the fact that I've got to do this as a punishment. So I thought this was funny. I thought this was funny. So, you know, if you got a bit of a laugh out of it, then there you go. Obviously, these aren't my tips. If you are actually new to the channel and thought I was being serious, well, maybe subscribe to my main account, Cardman22, because I actually make some legit calls, and I do actually make genuine videos on that channel, so, including tipping videos. So I'll leave a link to the tipping video in the description if you actually want to see what I have to say about the games, other than this bullshit. But regardless, yeah, I'll see you soon in my next one.